Welcome everybody to GoLocal Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. If you haven't seen it this morning, there is a major investigative piece on the Rhode Island State Police and their involvement in the contamination at the 610 construction project in Providence. It's the latest in an ongoing series that GoLocal's been writing since September. There is an ongoing federal investigation that is now in progress. Take a look at that. It casts a new light on some of the things and some of the timelines that we've reported on before. I want to jump over to Robert Rutley. He's our friend over at Mott and Chace, Sotheby's International, a weekly feature that we have to talk about the real estate industry in Rhode Island, what's going on with the market. Robert, thanks so much for joining us.
Josh, thanks for having me.
So let's talk about, you work all over the state. You're with the Blackstone team. I like that name, the Blackstone team. And you focus a lot on the east side, but you cover the whole state. You've got a good perspective on what's going on. There are some incredible hotspots in which prices just continue to move upward and upward. And I wanted to give you the chance to kind of talk about where the market is right now. We're out of winter, but we're not yet into spring selling.
That's true. We are just before spring, and in real estate, we create this this false narrative that spring market starts on March 1st. And so, back in February, we were seeing maybe 12 to 25 listings per day throughout the entire state. March 1st came, we had 58 listings. That first February, 113 listings. So it's been pretty consistent through March, and I think the high competition that we saw in the end of February, first week of March, will probably settle a little bit. But every neighborhood and every place in Rhode Island is high competition right now, as long as it's turnkey and it's an area that people want to live. I think people are looking for their perfect scenario, their perfect life in any home. And COVID really was a catharsis for people to get moving in that direction. I don't think anybody that we're seeing that's buying in the marketplace right now were people that weren't interested in buying before. I think that COVID, the pandemic, just moved them on.
Yeah, it's created a new relationship with how people were with their homes, right? It goes through cycles, and we are now in a cycle, and people really want to be in a place where they put their head on the pillow every night. Is much more than just that. It's not just a place you sleep, it's where you work, it's where your family gatherings are. They're much less likely to travel, obviously, during this period of time, and probably for the near future. Let's start on the east side. You know the east side well. You've done some big deals on the east side. One of them is a record-selling condominium. Can we just talk about that a little bit? Talk about how a condominium on College Hill can get to a $1.5 million price level.
Well, it sold for 1.2.
1.2, sorry.
Still a good number.
Yeah.
It was a great house, a big historic house that has been around for a long time. Some developers came through and completely redid everything they possibly could, modernized with keeping the beautiful architecture, the 12-foot walnut doors, sliding doors, fireplaces. So all those wonderful elements were still there, but it was really improved as much as it possibly could be. It had a great history, and we marketed it really well, and we marketed it outside of Providence, and we were able to capture a buyer that did not live in the area. So that's just something that we do, and I think that while Cushing is not one of the main thoroughfares on College Hill, it definitely has its charm.
Oh, absolutely. Near Prospect Park, obviously near Brown University. It's a neighborhood that there's very unique neighborhood, very few of them in the United States, like College Hill. Talk about, where millennials are. There's been a lot of discussion about the role of millennials in the housing market. Are they in? Are they out? Do they have money? Do they not have money? Walk us through what you're seeing, the role of millennials as what's their influence in the real estate market right now?
So millennials are really our biggest force in the market. They account for about 73 million buyers this last year. So, or 73 million people last year, compared to 71 million, which are the baby boomers. And millennials are getting to that point where they're 25 to 40 right now. They've had successful careers. They've been putting money aside. They're waiting for the market to adjust and for themselves to become a little more successful. They're also receiving these inheritances from the baby boomers, whether it's their grandparents or their parents. And so they have access to more funds than normal. So I think we're in 2 years into a 7-year cycle where we're expecting a great migration of wealth to the younger generation. So millennials are a driving force. They're most of our buyers that are out right now. There's been a narrative that it's buyers from New York or Boston or Connecticut or wherever. Yeah, those buyers are there, but those buyers are also millennials, and they're people that are really thoughtful about what they're doing. They're really looking for professional representation, and they're smart about their decisions.
And they've matured from being sharing apartments in big cities and owning IKEA furniture. They're either borrowing some cash, have earned some cash, or inherited some cash, and cash is king in this market as a buyer. No two ways about it. Talk about that influence, and not only talk about how important cash is for these competitive properties, but how someone who isn't cash flush competes with an all-cash buyer.
Well, if you're not cash, it's really difficult, and you really need to have an agent that really knows not only the marketplace, but the nuances of how to assemble an offer that makes you more appealing than that cash offer. And I don't want to get into my own ways of doing that.
Your secret sauce. This is like Kentucky Fried Chicken. We are not going there where the original recipe is, right?
Sure. So, I mean, in the past, I think there were always people that had funds, whether it's in a 401k, whether you're borrowing money from your parents or your grandparents or an uncle. There were always people that had access to cash. They didn't use cash because they didn't need to. You could get a mortgage. I think right now people are diving into that cash that's available to them, presenting cash offers where they would normally put in a mortgage. And using that to compete in the marketplace. So we're seeing a lot more cash out there. It doesn't mean that there's more cash than usual. It's always been there.
Robert, talk a little bit about these price increases. We live over on the east side. We live in the worst house on our street. The prices just keep going and going and going. And for somebody who grew up in Providence in the Mount Hope area, the prices seem absolutely insane, right? Frame of reference, what my mother owned her house for, duplex on Phillip Street was, nothing point nothing. And now we're talking about, everything's about $500,000 it seems. And, in January, there were like 13 sales on the east side. The median price was like $835,000.
Yeah, and the weird thing is people aren't really making more money, but housing is becoming more expensive. And that's unfortunate. For a while I was saying, the past few years, once something goes over $400,000 in Summit or on the east side in those neighborhoods, Summit and Hope and that close by area of Upper Elm Grove, that people are going to start looking at tertiary neighborhoods like Elmhurst and Edgewood, Riverside and Rumford. Well, even these tertiary neighborhoods are over $400,000 now. So people are really struggling to find a home, and I think at a price that they can pay at that entry level. But I think we're seeing prices go through the roof right now because of limited supply. Sit and wait a week. Don't put some thought into it. Stay calm. Trust your agent. And don't really jump into anything. Don't get caught up in the excitement.
Yeah. So stay calm and mind the gap, right? I mean, both.
Right.
Talk a little bit. You're all over the state. You have beautiful listing, I think, down in Narragansett. I just saw on Facebook. And just for anybody, for the folks who are viewing, if he has any room for friends, friend Robert on Facebook. It's as fun an experience as anybody on Facebook. and Robert is a Facebook friend. I've never met him in person, but he's been a Facebook friend for, I don't know, years, I think. But it's a great post. Talk about what's going on in places like Narragansett. We had Bridget on, who knows Jamestown like the back of her hand. You're all over the state. How crazy is it for beach town properties, whether they're on the water or not on the water?
Yeah, well, Bridget had talked about a lot of the luxury homes that were down there, but there are a lot of entry-level homes too. So last year in Narragansett, I think there were 54 sales of homes between $400,000 and $600,000. Only 9 of those went above the list price. So it means that only 9 homes of those, went into some sort of a bidding war, or they had somebody come in with an agent that gave them more than they were expecting to shut things down. And that happens. It's not happening as often as before, but it does. So I worked with some cash buyers that are West Coast based. They're moving back to Narragansett, and they offered on a home that was in the 500 range, right there in the middle. And they offered significantly over, without inspections, without contingencies, and even at 50 grand over that list price, they did not get it. So there's something new going on in that area of Narragansett. We're not
50,000 over asking price, no contingencies, and did not win the battle.
There was a stronger cash offer. Yeah.
So I want to zoom in on the spring. Are we going to see a traditional? Are we going to leave the cocoon? Are people going to? Sellers going to come out of hibernation? Boomers who've now gotten vaccinated. Are they going to feel more comfortable selling this spring, or will the spring be as tight as it's been over the past 12 months?
Josh, I hope so. Right now there is such a log jam of homes that could be listed, but most people that have homes need to find another home. We're trying to take a novel approach at the Blackstone team to offer alternatives to selling and purchasing at the same time, because that's just not something that's acceptable in this marketplace with this competition. But I have several sellers that are looking for homes, and as soon as they find something or they identify something, they'll be able to put their homes on the market, and that's all over the state.
How long does this go on? We're in this bizarre economic period, which I don't really think any of us have been in before. Len Ladardo, the URI economist, said the unemployment level during the Great Recession was a blip compared to where we are in Rhode Island now. Low interest rates, lots of demand right now, stratification of wealth at the top end. Does this thing run for a couple of years, or does there some economic reality that softens these nonstop price increases and allows more people to get into the market for home ownership?
Well, if I knew the answer to that, Josh, I'd be a very incredibly wealthy and powerful man. But
wait, more. I want to just, for fairness to the viewers, more powerful and more wealthy man.
So, last month, a 30-year fixed conventional loan was 2.99. That was the approximate. Right now, it's at about 3.125. So it's edging up. What's driving the market is, that catharsis from COVID and everybody looking for their perfect spot, the low interest rates that are out there, and then supply and demand. We've got demand, we need supply. So as soon as more homes start coming on the market and we're getting 100 a day or, 60, 70 a day, I think we're going to have more choices for people that are going to, remove some of this insane competition. We're going to have fewer people that are going to be able to afford homes as the interest rate goes up. For instance, right, a month ago, somebody purchasing something at $520,000 with a 2.99 interest rate, that could be their max. Right now, with a little edge up of that interest rate, it's probably around 500 instead of 520. So, yeah.
Right, every little move has an impact, and we'll see. We'll wait and see what the Fed does next. Robert, you get the last word. What should people be thinking about? First, go to buyers, and then hit on sellers.
Buyers, be cautious. You don't want to get into a situation when you're purchasing something that is not going to be resellable in 3 to 5 years. Talk to your agents, find out what the true value of a home is before you offer. You make the final decision, and if you want to offer more than that, fantastic. This is a choice that some people do make, but really trust your agent. They know the areas, they know real estate, and if you don't trust your agent, find an agent that you trust. Sellers, if you have the opportunity to sell right now, absolutely sell. I don't know how long this insane part of this market is going to go. Maybe it's going to go through until April, maybe a little bit longer, maybe less. But if you've got the opportunity, you have something to sell it, because you're going to get more money than you can even possibly imagine.
Everybody, thanks so much, Robert. It was just absolutely great having you on. So much appreciate the intelligence on the real estate market. So much of us love watching the little iterations of what's going on and are just amazed at what the market's looking like right now. It's both a full contact sport and a spectator sport, I think, at both levels. So everybody else, stay tuned. We're going to have a number of updates. There's a number of things breaking. We'll have them up on GoLocal over the course of the day. Also, Dr. Michael Fine will be on. Little uptick in numbers, 2 days, numbers moving upward, and deep concerns about what some of the early trend signs are showing. More states are moving up in the number of new cases than are going down. Europe is red hot going into a third spike, and lots of concerns by public health experts. So stay tuned for more on that. Thanks so much for our friends at Mott and Chace for joining us. And everybody, please wear your mask. Stay safe. I would love to avoid a third wave and just enjoy the summer. So help out, put on that mask, keep your friends and family safe. Thanks, everyone.